All right, everybody, won't be long with this segment here. Just want to get the homework problems checked here and give you a chance to review them, and then you'll be off and running on your own. All right, so for page 31, number 9, you can just check the final answers as you go here, and I've asked you to round to 2 decimal places instead of 4, so you can ignore the 3rd and 4th decimal place on this answer key. Just want to go through the procedure here. So we need to make sure that the part with the exponent is isolated on all of these. So you can see that the 17 was increased by 9, and that's because I had to add 9 to both sides. At that point, it was converted to a log. So base 13, exponent c minus 8 goes across, and the 26 comes in. And recall, you are allowed to log both sides if that's easier for you. Either way works. And so on this one, I am changing this to a calculator-ready fraction. If you want to write down the result of that fraction like this key shows, you can, or you could just keep this fraction on your calculator and add 8 to it. So either way will be fine. Final answer either way should come out to 9.27. A lot of these are going to be similar, so I'm going to kind of go a little bit quicker through many of them. So for 10, isolating the exponent part would be dividing 2. You never want to multiply 2 times 8 here, so I divide 2, I get 14. Then converting it to a log would be base 8. 5r exponent goes across, and converting it to a calculator-ready fraction. This one's showing 5 times r, so at the end I have to divide by 5. So you can type the fraction and then divide 5, or you can write down what the fraction equals and then divide 5. Either way, should be about 0.25. All right, for number 11, adding 3 first. Now I have a log with a base 10. Base 10 and 60. If you have a log with a base 10, you really don't need to do this step here, because log base 10 is what your calculator does when you press the log key anyway. So you could just type log 60, add 7, and divide 2, and do things in that order. But if you're in the habit of making a calculator-ready fraction, that's totally fine. It will work just the same. But at the end, you still have 2x minus 7, so you have to add 7 and divide 2 to get to the end. So 4.39 is what we'd be looking for there. Number 12, we're going to subtract the 6. I would argue that at this step right here, I would just change these to 2's, make it 2 cubed and 2 to the 4th, and avoid logs altogether. But there's nothing wrong with doing it this way. It'll work either way. Should get 1.16 repeating. Number 13, we have 2 things that have to happen to isolate. We're going to add 14 first, then divide 6. And at this point, we do need a log, so we're going to change this to base 4, log base 4, put the exponent across, and then make it calculator ready. When you do that, this fraction is our final answer because we have nothing with the m. So that's just done. And remember, for all of these, there's no checking. You could check for accuracy, but you don't have to check for undefined because these aren't log equations. Only log equations could have a problem with a negative number. Anything can go into an exponent. All right, 14 is similar to 13. We want to add 8 first and divide 9. And at that point, the exponent goes across, the base goes into the log, make it fraction ready, and then subtract 4 and you have your result. So no problem with getting a negative here, no issue at all. 15 and 16, so more of the same. We're subtracting first, and then we're dividing negative 5. Bring the 6x out of the exponent across the equal sign. And then log base 4 comes from this base 4 here. So fraction ready, divide by 6, and you're done. I would write it as 0.23 would be the rounded version. And here we're going to subtract 10 and get 184, divide 8, get 23, put it into a log, still have 3p minus 9. So when we make this a fraction that's calculator ready, we still have to remember to add 9 first and then divide 3. So 3.44 would be a good final answer there. All right, so if you have any trouble with those, feel free to email and let me know about it, but that should cover you for that page. All right, so for the rest of the time here, we need to focus on the quiz that you're taking on Wednesday. You're going to have log equations to solve, which will be in these 2 formats. Log equals log is when you just drop off the logs and solve the components. Log equals number is when you have to change it to an exponential and solve it that way. And for both of those, you have to check your final answers to make sure you don't have a negative log. For the second half, you're going to be solving exponential equations, which was the second kind we covered. For these, you're going to convert to log and do a change of base, which means get it calculator ready. or you may find some that you can just change the base and make it common bases. So you'll see both types there. All right, so to practice for your quiz today, you can work with anybody in the room that you want, but you have to work with someone. I don't want anybody working by themselves. You're going to try to complete pages 32 to 35. I know that sounds like a lot, but you've had a lot of practice with these, so you really should be able to move more and more quickly through them. And you're not going to have unlimited time on your test, so it's good to become more fluent with them. The answer key is on Google Classroom, so you should be checking those repeatedly. I'd like you to do 2 problems and then check those 2. And keep doing that, going back and forth, so you're staying on target. If you get 10 in a row wrong, it's better to know that early than to go through 10 and then have to redo them. So that's why I want you to stay checking frequently. All right, so that's your assignment for the rest of the class. Take care of that, and good luck.